So that's really my biggest piece for that. Yes, you want to be known. Yes, you want to put yourself out there, but I wouldn't stress over it to the point where it feels like a job. Being on social media, it's a social enterprise. So you want to be able to enjoy it. You want to do fun things and put it out there and say, hey, this is what I did today.
Well, welcome to another episode of Show You the Business. I'm Joanne Leisure, your host and your profit coach. And I'm here today with the wonderful, the beautiful, my friend, Shantelle Davis of SJ Media. Shantelle, welcome.
Thank you, Joanne. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said yes to our podcast. I just saw you this weekend.
Yes, it was great seeing you guys. And special thanks to George being the MVP and manning the grill. That was super, super helpful.
That's awesome. And congratulations on your new master's degree. We're so excited for you, for sure. Well,
Thank you.
you earned your bachelor's degree at Penn State University, and now you have an MA in professional and digital media writing.
Mhm.
I know professional development has always been a joy to you. You love pushing your limits and seeing the results of your accomplishments. Now, in 2019, you started a marketing agency called SJ Media Consulting, and now you also co-own Willie Mae's, what is it? Willie Mae's Place, right? Southern
Mhm.
Comfort Restaurant, which is excellent. It's in my neighborhood, listeners, and I mean the food is just, and it is comfort food for sure. And then you have Sip and Play Transportation, a shuttle party bus rental company, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, so we'll get into more with what you do, but can you tell our audience about your journey for SJ Media Consulting and how it all started?
Sure. Uh, I was always a big fan of communications and marketing and design and management, even when I was in college and undergrad. And so when I finished my bachelor's degree, I originally wanted to be a broadcast producer. And then I realized that when I started going into the industry, it wasn't really the best fit for me anymore. And so with everything constantly revolving, I was like, well, I have to go back to school. I need to learn more now to acquire more skills for the types of jobs that I actually want to go in and apply for. So I did. I went back to school. Learned some really great programs and did a really wonderful internships that really gave me that hands-on experience to learn more about social media marketing, graphic design, even event planning, all of those things that really make any type of business well-rounded. And so after I finished like my last internship, I said, okay, I'm going to apply for a big girl job now. I want to do something full time. I was working part time, waitressing and then in the tasting room at a local winery. And so I started applying for jobs. And as I was looking, the winery that I was working at was hiring for a marketing assistant. And so I applied for that job. I did a couple, interviews and I got the job and I was really flexible with it and fluid. And, the owners loved my attention to detail, my customer service and customer relations. And so I ended up pretty much changing their entire marketing campaigns. I put in new strategies, new events that increased their revenue by 30% during the time that I was there. And it was really, really great, really rewarding. I met some fabulous people. But for me, as I got older, I really wanted to have a better work-life balance, right? And it's like crazy because most people don't have that work-life balance. They said, what is that? For me, it meant having my weekends back. For me, it meant, not missing out on special family events, because, working in the event industry, you do have to sometimes miss things. And so I wanted to just have more control over my life and over my schedule. And so I took the components of that job that I had. So I was the marketing and events manager. So I took the components that I enjoyed, the skills that I learned from that, and I created SJ Media Consulting. So I, figured that I could use my skills and my resources instead of just helping one business. I could help multiple businesses. I could help multiple businesses with their ad campaigns. I could help multiple businesses with their marketing strategies. I could help multiple businesses with their communications, graphic design. So I offered some, graphic design for flyers, postcard mailers, business cards, things like that, email campaigns, really, really eye-catching branding was super, super important for most businesses. And I made it my goal to, within that first year, to replace the salary that I had been making, right? That was my goal. I'm going to replace it. And I did it. So I created that goal and I achieved it for myself. And it was such a great accomplishment. And so, that's kind of the story of how I started SJ Media. I used the tools that I learned from school, used the tools that I learned from internships and my first job, and really it helped me to be the business owner that I am today.
Wow. Wow. You said something very interesting, and that is you use the tools you learned from school. Now, I have to ask because so many people are in this social media marketing. It's like you wake up and somebody's a marketer, like this is the most sexy industry it seems that there is.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your education and why you feel or how you feel or what proves to you that having an education that's focused in on this marketing is what you need as a business owner and of SJ Media.
Sure. So I would say that the biggest part of education for me wasn't always necessarily the specific classes or the courses, but the opportunity for me to be in a room surrounded by other innovators, right? Other people, other personas, and things like that. And I think that sometimes, that lack of education, it doesn't put you in the right room with the right people sometimes.
Mm.
And so, even though I loved my classes and I really did, learn a lot. A lot of it was hands on, but being able to do these internships, I wouldn't have been able to really make those connections without being in school, without having a reason to reach out and really make and foster these connections. So for me, my education really opened up a lot of doors to meet people that I probably wouldn't have met, job opportunities that I probably wouldn't have gained. So that I think was the best, the best part that I can think of. I don't know if I answered your question properly.
You absolutely did, and that makes a lot of sense. Because we have to be around the right people, right? So it's all
Mhm.
about proximity, and being in an environment, even though it's academic, it allows you to be in proximity with people who are really doing it. I
Mhm.
remember when I was in college, I started off at NYU, and I was in proximity with people who were in the current events and the writers, and I wanted to be a writer, right? So like
Mhm.
golly, I'm like hobnobbing it with, you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like, it definitely gets you in the right rooms. So what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in social media marketing in that industry, and how did you overcome them?
Sure. Well, definitely just the changing landscape with it, right? So, Facebook used to be just about, a person to person. Hey, this is what I'm doing with my life today. Sharing funny memes. And it's funny because if you go back in my personal Facebook, like, you'll see like all these crazy memes of me in college and just sharing and tagging my friends and stuff. So it's been interesting to watch social media turn into a tool over the past couple of years. And really, it's just about figuring out a way how to use that tool, right? So using that tool for whatever your agenda is, right? If it's business, if it's connection, if it's networking, it's really just using any type of social media platform. But knowing why you're using it is very, very important, right? Because some people just like set it and forget it, or they just put it out there, but they're not particularly strategic about it. So I would say that I think some of the struggles that I have tried to overcome is really being purposeful with content that goes out, and also staying up to date on the different trends, right? So, it's not, the day and age where you can just post a picture out there and, you're going to get tons of hits. It's not the day and age where you can just post content and it's not, and it's too salesy all the time. So, really, figuring out the best tools and resources and matching what platforms are best for certain businesses and industries. Figuring out all of the changing algorithms, and just kind of taking each client, day by day, and really just educating them on it as well. So, you're always going to deal with different personalities. You're always going to deal with some people that are like, well, I want it this way. And it's like, okay, so you're trying to figure out, okay, am I supposed to do it your way, or am I supposed to do it the right way? Right.
The right way. I love it. I love it. I mean, I definitely know that people do have different perceptions on what works and what doesn't. And,
Hmm.
so for instance, as you know, I'm a 10X certified business coach. I'm affiliated with Grant Cardone. And Grant has taught me, and not that I do it as much as I should, but he's taught me that, if people don't know you, they can't flow you, right? And the
Yes.
idea is to get known. It's not necessarily to be the prettiest, it's not necessarily to be the smartest. It is to be
Hmm.
the best known. Best known beats best every day of the week. And, we see that in McDonald's, for instance. That's usually the
Hmm.
example that he uses. So, what do you say to that? Because that makes me feel like I've got to post, several times a day, because
Hmm.
he says, assume nobody sees it. Right. And that makes sense. I might be irritating the people that I know, right, who see me all the time. And sometimes they'll say something, and I have to keep thinking, well, it doesn't matter that you've seen it 20 times because you know me. I'm looking
Yeah.
for the person who doesn't know me. So what do you
Yeah.
think about that?
I think that he's, definitely right on that end. Because I had a meeting with someone a couple years ago, and she's really gave me the best piece of advice. And she said, everyone's aura is different. So everyone is going to react and receive you differently, and this was more in terms of, when you're having competition, if you have, someone that does the same industry as you, because there's always plenty of business to go around. But I put that out there to the universe for everything. Everyone has a different aura, everyone has a different, um, vibe. And sometimes you're just not going to vibe with people. And sometimes they're not going to vibe with you. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, do you really like everybody? No, some people. So you don't have to be liked by everybody. But I think that the most important thing that you can be is authentic and be
Mhm.
true to yourself. And there's plenty of people in the world that will vibe and jive with that and with you. So that's really my biggest piece for that. Yes, you want to be known. Yes, you want to put yourself out there. But I wouldn't stress over it to the point where it feels like a job. Being on social media, it's a social enterprise. So you want to be able to enjoy it. You want to do fun things and put it out there and say, hey, this is what I did today. But you also want to engage on other people on other people as well. See what they're doing, comment on their stuff. Share their stuff,
Yeah.
build yourself a community and a network of people that you really like and trust, and continue to develop those relationships. And I say, to the naysayers, do what you want to do, because the people that the important people are the ones that are going to jive with you and spread awareness about you anyways. So just be authentic when it comes to whatever you want to do.
I love that. I love that. Now here's the thing. You mentioned networking a little earlier, and we met in B&I.
Yes, we did.
And by this time, all my listeners already know that I'm in B&I, and what we do is we refer business back and forth to each other. So it makes it really great. It's not just networking, it's developing relationships with people that we know, like, and trust, and then offering our clients, our families, our networks basically to those people to help. So
Hmm.
tell us, with that said, how has B&I been for you, and what is it that you look for in B&I? Because this social media is a big, to me, it's very broad. So,
Hmm.
people think of social media, they think of websites, they think of graphic design, like you mentioned, all of this stuff. But what is it that you offer, and how has B&I been for you?
Sure. So I specifically offer social media management services within my seat. So that could be doing, I always offer a complimentary 30-minute audit where I will sit down with you. We'll go over what social media profiles you're on, what strategy you're implementing, and make some tweaks and changes to it. So I kind of give you a short overview of how you can improve your social media platforms yourself. And then I also have a paid 1 hour consult that can be done on a one-time basis or weekly, bi-weekly, month, however, whatever frequency level the client would like me to be their accountability buddy. So that's where I will do some more in-depth research about the specific business, the specific platforms, the specific times to post, the hashtags, everything that could be relevant for your social media campaign. I will give you all of those tools within that hour-long consult. And then we'll continue to schedule it throughout the year to make sure that you really are doing what you need to be doing, or your office manager is doing what they need to be doing and seeing some progress with what they have. So that's another component that I offer, the consulting piece. That's where the SJ Media Consulting comes out of it. Because I do have skills with websites and with graphic designs and all that type of stuff. So I really like to be a resource for any startup business or any existing business that doesn't know, what to do, right? They're just confused, or they're like, well, I'm doing this, but it's not working. So really just taking the time to do these consults are one of my favorite things to do. And I lecture my friends all the time that have businesses, that's just one of the things that I do. And they're like, oh, okay. So that's a component. And then, of course, just the actual management of it. So, say there's a business owner, they're like, well, you know what? I really don't have the time to do this. I don't want my office manager to do it. I want to hire an outside source. Can you handle all of my, marketing needs? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, I can. I can do the full management. I can even go a little bit more in depth and a bigger, broader scope of that. It really just depends on what the client's goals are, and of course the budget that they have to work with. Because my biggest thing is making sure that my customers and clients are realistic with their expectations, because I do not ever want to overpromise and underdeliver. I try to be authentic when it comes to what results you're going to get, and sometimes you have to be really honest with it, with what you can get.
Yeah, I gotcha. Grant always says for us to overpromise and overdeliver.
Yeah. Yep.
you know But I get what you're saying, because, people think something and it may not necessarily be exactly what they were looking for. So,
Mhm.
when we're business owners and we first start out, we don't really have a budget. So we to get to basically offload all of the work to other people.
Yes.
So, with that said, for those new business owners, so that they know when is a good time for them to decide that they need someone like you, that they could offload it to a professional in their marketing.
So I would say just that initial consult is important, even in the beginning. So if it's just a brand new business startup, they just got their logo, they just got, whatever, using someone like myself, or even really most other social media managers and marketing professionals do offer those complimentary consultations where they can give you that information. So I would just say don't be afraid to reach out to anyone that has the knowledge or the skills, because they will tell you exactly what you need to know. Of course, you either pay your time or your money. So if you don't have the money to pay for a marketer to do it, then you're going to spend a lot more time to be effective with it. And then, of course, you're hoping that that balances out, because as you start getting more revenue, of course, you want to offload the work that is not your business, right? You're right. You are a bookkeeper. You're an awesome bookkeeper. You don't want to do your own marketing and your social media and all that type of stuff. You want to focus on your business, and really outsource everything else. But I would say that any time is a good time to reach out to a professional in that industry, because they will help you figure out the best game plan, and so that you can have realistic expectations.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So tell us, because now I want to dip into your professionalism and the things that you know to help our audience. How do you stay updated with the ever-changing trends and algorithms and social media platforms?
Sure. So, I subscribe to multiple, things, podcasts. Hootsuite always has really great blogs, but really, it's just a lot of market research. So, anytime that there's a new change, it's really just a matter of, okay, well, now I have to learn this. Let me figure out how to manually, make these tweaks and changes so that my client is shown on the best light. But I also have to say that I'm really lucky with the network that I have in my services. So I work with other marketers who we know we don't step on each other's toes, but we're genuine friends, and so we really do have sometimes we'll even do like a weekly check-in to say, hey, okay, well, I learned this. What about you? What are you working on this week? And so they're my accountability buddies, right? What are you doing for your personal sales? What are you doing? Have you heard that about these ad campaigns and this different method? So it would be a combination of me just figuring it out as the changes occur, but also really creating an awesome network of other professionals, and we can trade tools, trade ideas, and really just continue to help each other grow.
Yeah, and I notice with you, you are a different type of marketer, because I'm going to tell you something that I have noticed with a lot of social media people and a lot of marketers, and that is that they do not market themselves. And one thing I see is I always see your posts. They are always consistent. They are always branded, and you are not afraid to be out there. Even in the networking and taking pictures and doing those kind of things, is that is social media, right? Being social out there and then
Yes.
showing it, on platforms. And I always wonder, do you ever wonder why people who are in this business, you never see them? They're like hiding.
Well, well, I feel like it can be one of those, it's that saying, when when you don't do, you teach, right? So I think that it's one of those things where, and I've been guilty of it, right? So I do my best to be consistent, because I have to put my money where my mouth is, and I know that there's so many things that I could even be doing much better, when it comes to my own marketing. But the biggest thing is that consistency, and keeping that in the back of my mind. I'm
Mm.
like, okay, I have to do this. I have to step up. But I think that a lot of marketers get so um they get so revved up with their clients, right? And they're doing the work for their clients that they're forgetting that they also have to do the work to continue to market themselves. And so it's definitely a struggle that I think we all are trying our best to overcome. So that's probably, I say they're probably just too busy working on their own stuff. And it's something that slips their mind. It's something that they are just like, "Oh, I don't want to do it," and be consistent with with themselves. But I
Yeah.
always, if I'm telling my clients to do it, I gotta at least attempt to do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if I'm hiring somebody to do something, I'm going to look them up, right? And I know with you, you're going to be seen. Your work is going to be out there, even just on yourself. So, talk to
Mhm.
me about some of the common mistakes, the most common mistakes businesses make in their social media strategies, and how can they avoid them?
Sure. I would say that the biggest mistake that businesses make in their social media strategy is not having a strategy.
How did I know you were leading up to that?
They don't have a strategy. They just, like, "Oh, I did this work, let me put it out there." But why are you putting that work out there? So figuring out and defining what your goal is. There are some companies that want that brand recognition. So they want to continue to grow. They want that brand to outlive themselves, or they want that brand to eventually become a franchise. Whatever that option is, branding is a great a great reason to use social media. Or it could be, well, hey, I want my sales to increase, so I just want more business. I want more people to give me calls, more people to go to my website. Okay, so then that's your strategy. So then we have to enact a plan that's the this is the route that we're going.
Mhm.
So there's different ways, there's different strategies that are out there, and I think really not knowing who your audience is as well. So sometimes you just spray and pray, and you just put all your stuff out there, and you really don't know who your target audience is. You don't know who your customer base is. Not knowing or not understanding the algorithms within your own social media profiles yourself. So not going in that back end and seeing, okay, well, who is seeing the content that I put out there? Who what is that age range? Is it is it men, is it women? What is their total revenue? You can find all of that out. That's a really, really great thing about social media, is that if you take the time to go in and understand that back end, you can get all of that information. You can figure out who your target customer base is. It just takes a little bit of extra work to do that process. So I would say just not having clear goals, not having clear objectives and strategies, and just spraying it all out there and praying. Those are the biggest the biggest issues that I see that people make.
Absolutely. And I think that, also not really understanding how people are looking for you, right?
Hmm.
So, I think that a lot of times people are doing social media and they don't have the right questions that a person is looking for so that
Yes.
they could be found. Like you said, it's that strategy and understanding what kind of tools are out there to help you get those
Hmm.
those customers, because ultimately
Yes.
isn't that what we really want? At the end of the day, we want
Yeah.
customers.
It is. And two, and not being and not being where your customers are. So when I
Mm,
do my consults, I have I'll get someone that says, "Well, I want to be on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and X now. I want to be on everything. I want to be found everywhere." And it's like, "Okay, well, slow down a minute, because it really doesn't matter the amount of platforms that you're on, at least especially if you're just starting out.
mhm.
That quantity doesn't matter. It's really going to be the quality of what you're putting out there, but also making sure that whatever social media platform you are using is relevant to your specific business and what your end game is. And if you have that disconnect, you might have some really great content out there, but it's not going to the right audience, because you kind of just wasted a little bit of time putting it somewhere that nobody really cares.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you. Something I learned in my 10x world, that I never really saw it this way, and I want your opinion on it. So
Mhm.
building an audience, right? So in building an audience for me and my business, I'm not going to be able to go, like you said, to every single platform and, attract the exact person who buys what I buy, or what I
Mhm.
sell. However, creating a social media presence and creating an audience doesn't necessarily mean that everybody in that audience that you're creating is going to buy from you. It kind of
Mhm.
means more of, who are you as a person?
Yes.
Like for instance, you're a wife, you own puppies, and you belong to the chamber, Pocono Chamber. You're a board member of Angels and Dragonflies. Like your audience is everybody who connects with you. And
Mhm.
the hope is, and this is just based on what I've learned in TEDx, the hope is that out of everybody that follows you and that belongs to you, there will be people who need you. And so you're the first
Mhm.
person that they will go to, because who I am is different from who you are if we were selling the same product. So people may
Mhm.
like me and resonate more with me, and that's my audience, and people may resonate with you, and that's your audience. And then we have all of these offers to give them.
Mhm.
Well, so what do you think about that?
No, I think that you're absolutely right. Building your audience is very important. But you're not, just like within BNI, you're not really trying to sell to your audience. You're trying to sell to who do they know? And the whole point of being on social media and being on it consistently, it's really just top of mind marketing.
Yeah.
It's staying top of mind. It's being likable. It's being trustworthy. It's being consistent. And all of those pieces get put together in a neat little package. So that way, when, your second cousin's friend who is following you now because they see you have all these really awesome adventures or whatever, they know what you do. They know what services you have. So if their second friend's cousin, whatever, is looking for a specific service, you're the person that comes to mind. You're the person that's getting that message like, hey, I know you do this. Can I connect you? And I had something like that happen today,
Awesome.
before our call, a friend of a friend, and was like, hey, can you, accommodate this? So it's really just being consistent and putting yourself out there. But again, being authentic, being genuine, and being true to yourself, and just, putting it out there so that the right people vibe with it, and the right people know exactly what you do and what you have to offer. And just tell them over and over and over again until you die or become Grant Cardone.
I love it. And he says until you die.
Yeah, yeah.
He says that. Keep calling them. He
Yep.
keep calling with the follow. Keep calling them, keep following up until you die.
Yeah.
And even after. That's what he says.
That's what I tell my clients when I say, after at the end of my at the end of my pitch, I'm like, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have this is the strategy, and we're just gonna keep on telling them, and we're gonna tell them again over and over and over again until you die, sell your business, or become a buku billionaire. That's it. That's the that's the end game.
Oh my goodness. So what advice would you give, Chantel, to small businesses or startups looking to build their brand on social media?
Hmm. My advice is to be realistic with what you have time to do. So, if you're intrigued with social media, choose one platform just to start with, but do that one platform exceptionally well. Whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, start off with one, familiarize yourself with it, create that strategy, create that brand, and put yourself out there as well. I think a lot of times business owners are scared or they're timid or intimidated and they don't want to put themselves into the business. And I think that that's really to their detriment because people will know and buy from and refer people that they know, like, and trust. And if you have no presence whatsoever in any of your marketing campaigns, then it's going to take much longer for you to establish that rapport with your potential prospects and customers. So, my biggest advice is figure out what your strategy is, figure out what you can realistically do. If that means taking a day on Sunday to say, hey, I'm going to time block 5 hours and I'm going to schedule multiple posts, 12 posts or whatever for the month, then do that. Take that time to do that, and then you can set it and forget it, and you don't have to think about it anymore for the rest of the month. But make these time commitments and stay true to them, and you're going to see that the consistency and your authenticity is just going to really bring in more business and revenue over time.
I love that. I love that. Should we be worried about the amount of likes and shares that we get for these posts?
I wouldn't say worry, but I would say to, if something is not getting much attention or traction, pay attention to it. So see what is, the most engaging content that's on your, that's on your account. So that's something that you can find on the back end. You can look at the algorithms. You can see, okay, this one had maybe one like, but this one had five. What is the difference between the two? But I would say too that video is a really great way to see how many people are actually seeing your content, but just maybe not engaging it. So you can put videos out there and you will get like 2 likes, right? But then at the end of the week, you see that you had 1,000 views. So I would say the biggest thing that you want to pay attention to is how many people are actually seeing the content versus, the likes and the shares and the comments. And if you do see a bit of a drop off, figure out how you can do something to engage your audience. So that way those likes and shares and comments can increase.
Excellent, excellent advice. So, Chantel, I know now people are going to want to talk to you, especially now that you've mentioned that you have this free strategy session so that you
Mhm.
can help people. So, tell us, how can we find you?
Sure. So you could always reach out to me. My website is sjmediaconsulting.com. I'm always happy to accept a friend request as well. If you look me up on Facebook, Shantelle Davis. And then you could just give me a call. All of my contact information is on my website as well as my social media platforms. So you could always give me a call, email me, and we can set something up.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you again, my friend.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming out and talking to us and teaching the businesses out there how to grow their social media, as well as, hopefully there'll be a young person or an old person who wants to get into social media and they, could find a nice path based on your journey.
No
So
problem.
thanks so much.
Thank you, Joanne. This was awesome. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And we'll see everybody back for the next episode of Show You the Business. All righty. This episode is sponsored by Day One Accounting because you got to start somewhere, so start with Day One. And by Grant Cardone's 10X Certified Business Coach program, let's 10X your revenue by 30 to 40% in 90 days.